Every now and then, a game comes along that requires a little bit of special attention. Yes, my channel is all about historical games, war games, political games, that kind of thing. Bags of tension, bags of action. We're going to take a coffee break. We're going to take a rain check. We're going to pause and relax for just a few minutes. So please bear with me while we take a look at Canopy Deluxe Edition. This is from Weird City Games, and hopefully you agree, it's already looking a bit special. Where's the shrink wrap? Where's the plastic? There isn't any. Let's take a look. Now, I've had this game open, plus little puppy decided to have a nibble too. That was my fault, not puppy's fault. That was my fault for not keeping my eyes open enough. So, puppy was interested. Now, why? As I said, there's no shrink wrap on this game. Instead, it comes in this plain brown packaging. And I hope I can extract it like so. Hey. So there we go. Canopy Deluxe Edition. Put that over there. And that plain brown wrapper was hiding probably the most beautiful game box I've ever seen. Look at this. And it's a game about the rainforest, as you can see here. And it's a game for 1 to 4 players. It's basically a 2-player game, but there is a version for 3 and 4 players and a fantastic solo AI. Let's take a look on the other side. And again, this beautiful artwork on the back, which is a little bit different on this deluxe edition to the standard editions. But still, it's in a small package, it's a small box, but it's a fairly weighty box. And as I said, it's from Weird City Games and it's designed by Tim Eisner and Vincent Dutrait. So let's take a look inside. Whoa. Wow, okay. Not sure what that's for. That's just it's a card. Okay. And now we have the rule set. Goes through our components. And look, this is not a heavyweight game at all. These are the rules. Where you've got your game overview, standard setup, for instance, for a 2-player game, anatomy of a card, gameplay, and an illustrated example of a turn. End of season scoring, what happens at the end of a season, if it's played in seasons, and then the end of season 3 scoring example, and the end of game. The relevance of that is the fact that it's played across 3 seasons. So it's quite a quick game. 30, 45 minutes, that kind of thing. That's the kind of realm you're looking at. And then here we have a card glossary. So it's looking at all the different types of cards, wildlife, plants, advanced cards, because there are advanced cards that can be played in the game, and wildlife and so. And shifting seasons variant. We'll cover that in a second. And then the solo challenge called the Forest Spirit. The Forest Spirit example turn. And the rules for 3 and 4 player. What else do we have? A couple of envelopes. I noticed that was an empty one. I don't know why. This one had cards in it for the marketplace. These are the marketplace cards. Current season, new growth, new growth, new growth. and so on. And also we have solo card changes, solo turn reference, and then the 2 standard player aids like so. It's a nice, simple game to learn, but there's a lot of strategy in it. Deluxe Edition Marketplace cards. Now you notice the cards that I showed for the standard Marketplace here. And in the Deluxe Edition, there's the same thing, New Growth 1, New Growth 2, and New Growth 3. That way around, actually. And these would sit in the centre of the table. But we'll show that very, very soon. And then I do like these high quality animal tokens. And these will be used to mark things like tallish tree, and anything that's actually been scored will be marked with these beautiful, colourful animal tokens, like so. And a couple more here, butterfly, poison arrow frog, and score markers here, score tokens, see, that everyone will use. And also, see this here, 3, 5, this tree here, and this one here, 4. And again, those will mark and score things like tallish tree as we go through the game. And I mean, seriously, is this the most beautiful draw bag ever devised? There's the main picture there. And again, just like on the box in the background, you can just see in blue the toucan, the poison arrow frog. That is absolutely beautiful. The most beautiful draw bag. I asked my son about this draw bag because he bought me the game as a gift, because he knows that I enjoyed Wingspan so much, and he bought me that game back at Christmas time, and I played it to death. I absolutely loved that game, and he knew that. So here now I have as a gift this beautiful deluxe version of Canopy. But I asked him about this draw bag. What do we use the draw bag for? He said he doesn't think it's a draw bag because we can't find any rules for using a draw bag. It's a bag, and I quote, for putting things in. So there you go. It's just an extra. It's a bag for putting things in. And hey, if I'm going to get a bag for putting things in, then I'm going to be putting things in it, and we'll see what that is in a moment. First player token, and again, the same quality as all the, oh, here we go. Nice, really thick cardstock. Punches out like so. First player token, not really necessary. Well, certainly not necessary in a solo game, and not necessary in a 2-player game, you could argue. But 3 and 4 player game, yes, maybe so. That's lovely. That's really nice. Oh, and the cards. There's hundreds of cards in this game. But we'll go through these, I think, as we set the game out. There are 3 piles of cards, like so. So let's set them out and take a look. Okay, so here we are in all our glory. Okay, it's not going to be a rules video at all. We're not going to do a playthrough or anything like that. It's just to demonstrate basically what you get in the game, part of which we've done so far, and sort of how the game plays out. And we'll do that in a couple of different parts. First of all, it's a card drafting game. So we're going to draft cards. And by doing so, from those drafted cards, we're going to build a tableau in front of us. So it's a card drafting, tableau building game where your tableau is going to be your engine to earn you points. So this is how we set it up here. Over on the right hand side here, We've got the trees for scoring things like tallest trees at the end of each round. We've got the scoring tokens here as well, the points tokens. We've got our lovely wildlife tokens like so, that we're going to place on items that have been scored. For instance, our tall trees and so on. Oh, I can just show you. Actually, I didn't show you before. What was I putting in my bag to put things in? Well, the other part of the deluxe setup are these beautiful wooden creatures. Hey, look. And these correspond to the tokens here. Here we've got a flutterby. We've got something else. What's he? Ah, here you go. It's that little chap there, look. But lovely wooden tokens. There's our toucan token. And is that a marmoset? Or is it a capuchin? Something like that. I'm not very good on these, am I? So here we go, our lovely little wooden tokens, or meeples. Great for playing zoos with. Our monkey there. Oh no, that's our sloth. Sloth or sloth? Sloth, sloth. Not sure. So there's our lovely little tokens here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lovely little wooden tokens. Back into our bag. So that's part of the deluxe setup. But of course, not required for the game. And you know, sneakingly, I'm wondering whether I actually prefer our nice colourful tokens here. Okay, so our marketplace. This is where we're going to place our marketplace. And look, we have new growth 1, new growth 2, and new growth 3. Again, if we had the standard version rather than deluxe, we would simply use the cards like so. There you are. That's what you would use for your marketplace. New growth 1, 2, and 3. But with this nice deluxe version, we're using this nice colourful marketplace here. Other than that, there's no difference, and everything else that you see is more or less the same, or in fact, it's exactly the same. There are also advanced cards which I've added, some of them anyway, to the decks. So we've got our marketplace, new growth 1, new growth 2, new growth 3, and then we took all of our cards, shuffled them all, and they need a mega shuffle. They really do need a mega shuffle, because they tend to be to come at you in groups of card types. So you really want to shuffle them out well. Shuffled all our cards and divided them into roughly 3 equal piles. This pile here is going to be season 1. And remember, we're going to play the entire game over just 3 seasons. This is season 1. And this here is just to remind us that this is season 2. And those will be the cards for season 3. Now, the seed pile is this pile here. And we'll explain that later in the game. And for some reason, I know not why, simply because I can, I put my first player token. Look at that. So anyway, I digress. That will sit there. Oh, and also, those cards there are the shifting season cards. Now they add another dynamic to each season of play. Once you know the game, you can add those shifting season cards to add a little bit of spice, to mix things up a little bit as you're playing the game. So we've divided our cards into 3 seasons. This is going to be the first season. Now, we need to populate our season like so. We take the first card off the top and we lay it in new growth 1. There it is. Next 2 cards, and we lay them in season 2. Next 3 cards, 1, 2, 3. And we lay those in season 3. So that's how we start the game. Now we start drafting. So whoever's turn it is to go first will look at the first card. But we won't show our opponent, so we'll look at it secretly, unless you're playing solo, in which case, just don't show it to the puppy. I still don't trust that puppy, Attila the pup. Right, okay, so, oh, lightning. And in fact, this is one of the advanced cards. Lightning can harm forests, but it also converts nitrogen in the air into chemicals, which help plants grow. So anyway, we won't go into the details of the cards just yet. So I've had a look at that and I thought, oh, I can't do anything with that right now. Don't want anything right now to do with that. And it might even be negative because some cards are negative. So I'm going to put that back. I've rejected it. My opponent doesn't know why I've rejected it, but because I've rejected it, I've now got to take another card off the top and place it here. This now makes this pile more attractive to my opponent. I'm now going to pick up this pile. By the way, once I've rejected a pile, I cannot go back. Can't change my mind, can't go back. I've added a card and now I'm going to try this pile. Let's take a look. At some point, I'm going to have to accept them. So, oh, look at these. Now look, hey, I mean, we're going to look at the cards in more detail shortly anyway. But look at this beautiful, beautiful artwork here. It's an education. It really is. So, Golden Lion Tamarin, an animal card. I'm sorry if I'm being obvious, but there are animal cards and plant cards. An animal card. And we've got a Bromelia, which is a plant card. We have some nice thematic flavor text, and we have some rules for each of the cards. And I'm thinking, okay, they might be very useful. So I might want to take those. And if I do take those, I would have to place a card from the season deck into that new growth. Okay? And as far as card drafting goes, my turn is over. And it's over to your opponent. I'm going to put that back on there for a second. Because let's just say that I didn't take those cards. I still don't want to accept them. So I put them back. I add one from the top of the deck. Again, now there's 3 cards there, making it more attractive to my opponent. And I take these 3 and take a look. A Monstera, which is a plant card. A Canopy card with a sloth in it. Or a sloth or sloth in it, like so. So that's a Canopy card. And a tree trunk card. And I'm thinking, hey, I'll probably take those. Now, if I didn't take them, okay, if I didn't take them, they would go there. I would place a card on top from the deck, and now I must take a card from the top of the deck. And I have to keep that card. I'm stuck with it. I've taken the risk. I've pushed my luck. So that's the push my luck thing in this. Because you're trying to collect cards, you see, certain types of cards. So you might think, it wasn't there. Have a look. It wasn't there. Push my luck. Was it there? It might have been. You might have struck lucky, or you might have gone, no way. So, and I've ended, look, it's a sloth. The controversy continues. Sloth or sloth. And I'd have to keep this card. After adding one there. Like so. But if I took those last 3 cards, there it is, the tree trunk, the canopy and the plant, I would replace them with one like so. So now you've got 1 there, 2 there and 3 there. And we start tableau building. And that's the second part that we're going to go on to next, the tableau building. But look, once we've gone through all of that deck, and this plays pretty quickly, that's 1 season over. And we do the end of season scoring, okay? And then the next season, season 2, goes there, and we start playing that again. Tableau building from our card drafting and pushing your luck. So it's time to have a look now at some of the cards that we've been drafting. What are we doing with them? We're building a tableau. And what is our tableau? It's our rainforest, and we need to build the very best rainforest that we possibly can. Now, we're all going to start the game with a starting tree trunk. So let's say we placed it there in our tableau, and the opponent is going to be doing the same thing on the other side, or wherever he or she is sitting. Now, we can add to that. As we draw cards, as we're drafting them from the new growth 1, 2, 3, all the way through the decks, we'll be picking up tree trunk cards like so. And there's various things we can do with that tree trunk card. We can start a new tree trunk, so we've got 2 on the go, or we can increase the size of this tree trunk by placing that underneath, like so. Oh yes, this is what we want to see. When we draw another tree trunk, like so, and you'll notice that some of these have nice subtle differences on. There's a nice little chap climbing the trunk there, and it's nice to spot them. Like this one over here has another plant species growing out of its trunk, like so. So we can either increase the size of the trunk again and keep growing it, or, as I said, we could start another tree. What happens then? Well, okay, for instance, if we draw a canopy, this is a canopy. Now, the thing is, you see, whether we've drafted 1 card, 2 card, or 3 cards, or however many cards, once we've made the choice as to which deck, if you like, we're going to draft, we have to use all the cards. If you've drawn 3 cards or 4 cards or 2 cards, you have to use them all. So, and the thing is, once you draw a canopy, you have to use it, and a canopy will cap off a tree. No more growth on that particular tree. Okay? So, for instance, you could cap off this one, or you could cap off this larger one, like so. That's quite an impressive tree, I think. Okay? Now, at the end of each season, not the game, end of each season, you'll be scoring the tree. Now, this tree, for instance, we look up the tree. For instance, this one has got a potential score of 1. This one has scored, because it's now got a canopy on it, 2. And then 1 times 1 point for each trunk portion you have. That's what the canopy is going to give us. So it's going to give us 2, 1 for that one and 1 for that one, 3, 4 points. And that might be, in this particular season, the largest tree. I don't know, it might be. And if it is the largest tree, we get the largest tree score like so. Ta-da! That has scored largest tree. 3 points for the first season's largest tree, 4 for the second season's largest tree, 5 for the third season's largest tree. How about that then? And because it's been scored, we've scored it, can't be scored again. So if we've scored it, we take some wildlife and we place it on the tree like so to show that it's been scored. That one hasn't, that one's still growing, but that one's been scored and it can't be scored again. We keep the tree, we don't discard it. Okay? So you can see our rainforest growing like so. Just worth saying, look, a lot of these canopies that we're pulling out of here are very different. This one is going to cap off a tree because we have to use it. But this one had, well, that one there had something in the branches there. Not quite sure what that was. This one has a flock of flying macaws. Really nice. I'll just plonk that one there. And in fact, because we put a canopy on it, let's just say we scored it like so. That's how we score trees. That's how we give largest tree per season award. And you can begin to see now why, when we're drafting, there might be some times when we don't want to take a set of cards because maybe we didn't want a canopy or another canopy because we didn't want to cap off our trees. Now it's starting to make sense. Let's look at the next category of cards. And this is our undergrowth, if you like, our plants. We have, for instance, Monstera, Bromelia. Look at these cards. Ferns. Let's just take a very quick look at them. Monstera. You see on it, and there's some nice thematic text as well, by the way. But if we have one of them, we score 0 points. They're not scoring. If we have two of them, we've still got 0 points. But if we get 3 plus, we get 8 points. Wow. And again, now you can see why we're searching for sets of cards to build up our potential points. And the points for the plants will be scored at the end of each season. The Bromelia, similar. If you have one of them, it scores 2 points. Great. You say, okay, I'm looking for another one. 2, because our points bump up to 7 points for 2 Bromelia. But now we might not want to take a certain set because there might be another Bromelia in it, a third one. But if we do get a third one plus, we lose 3 points. We take 3 points off because there mustn't be too many of those. It's making so much sense, the card drafting. Ferns. Take a look at the fern. This is really straight. I loved this one because this one's going to change all the way through your season. If you've got 1 fern, 2 points. 2 ferns, no points. 3 ferns, 6 points. 4, no points. 5 ferns, 10 points, and so on. In other words, even numbers of ferns keep knocking out the points. There's no points. There's no point to an even number of ferns. So you want odd numbers of ferns to gather your points. So you can see why A, you'll be looking for them, and B, you also might be rejecting them. Such a fascinating mechanic. That is brilliant. Now, in the advanced deck, there are some advanced, and the advanced deck is in all the games, whether it's standard, deluxe, or anything like that. They've all got exactly the same card. So everything you see here is in all of the versions. We've got some more here. Look at that. Coin cap, fungi, orchids, lianas, pitcher plant. And the thing is, once you've done your scoring, the end of season scoring, all the plant life, all the vegetation is discarded from your forest. You see? We take it all away. It's all discarded. The trees stay and wildlife stays. Let's look at wildlife next. And so the wildlife. Let's take a look. We've got, and these are gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Your poison dart frog. Kinkajou. And a lot of these have, for instance, this one here, once per season, before your turn, you may add 1 card to each pile. Hey, come on. What's this one? Once per season, keep 1 extra card when you draw from the seed deck. So they will give you different abilities as you're building your rainforest. Leafcutter ants. Once per season, you may discard 1 card from your forest. And we've already seen why we might want to do that. Too many bromelias, eh? For instance, remember that one? An even number of ferns. So we might want to use that. A sloth. Or is it a sloth? Gorgeous animal. The toucan. and the emerald tree boa. Absolutely gorgeous wildlife cards there. And there's some advanced wildlife cards in the advanced deck. There's more cards coming now. The howler monkey. Look at that. The jaguar. The golden lion tamarin. As well as beautiful to look at, I think you'll agree, these can be pretty educational too. The thematic text, you see, as an apex predator, the jaguar's ambushing abilities are nearly peerless among mammals. Wow. The elongated hands and fingers of this species allow them to forage under tree bark. The pygmy marmoset. The hoatzin. When I saw that head, doesn't it look like an Archaeopteryx? Brilliant cards. Hey, the Goliath bird-eating spider. Hello. Wow. The Harmonia mantle. That's Flutterby there. And we've got another kinkajou. There are several of each. So, the reason I took this out is because of this look. Here we go. This is how this scoring can work. 2 kinkajous. If we have one, it scores 2. We know that. But if you've got a pair, you score 5. Yes! Now again we can see why we're hunting for certain cards. The jaguar and the poison dart frog. And again, if we've got one poison dart frog when we're scoring them, we score 2. If we've got 2 poison dart frogs, it's 5. So that's how the animals work, and the animals are scored at the end of the game. Their abilities can be played throughout the game, the ones that have abilities, but their final scoring occurs at the end of the game, which is why at the end of each season, when all the undergrowth leaves the game and is discarded, because that gets scored and then discarded, the trees and all the wildlife remain. So you're collecting your wildlife inhabiting your tropical rainforest throughout the game, because at the end of the game, that's when the wildlife gets scored. Let's take some of these out of the way now. Because there are other types of cards that we need to collect in pairs. We need the weather, don't we? How does this forest grow? It needs the sun. But on its own, the sun card isn't going to do anything for you. You see, on it, it explains rain plus sun equals 5 points. But we've only got sun. Roughly 5% of the sunlight that makes it to the canopy layer reaches the understory of rainforests. Only 5% of the sun pierces that canopy to reach the forest floor. So again, we're searching through when we're card drafting, because where we need sun, we also need rain. Now we've got a pair. Rain and sun equals 5 points. That's beautiful. I like that. And again, it's an educational thing. What else can happen? What else can we draft? Why else might we not wish to keep a certain pile when we're drafting? What do we want to avoid? How about drought? Not good, is it? The last thing a rainforest needs is any kind of drought. Rainforests react to and impact local climate. Thus, dry conditions can exacerbate ecological issues. Pull a drought card, it has to be effected immediately. There's that lightning bolt there. And it forces us to discard one card from our rainforest. That's usually bad, but it could be good. What if we had, I'll come to it again, too many bromelias? Yes, that's one way of taking care of that problem. Reducing your bromelia cards, for instance. Or maybe we had a fire card. This is another of the threat cards. Fire. The susceptibility of rainforests to fire is growing due to increased human activity and climate change. And if we have a fire card, what we don't want is another fire card. Because if we have 2 fire cards, we have to choose and discard, before scoring, 2 plant cards. This is at the end of the season. So as you get to the end of a season, if you've built up 2 fire cards, you'll have to discard 2 of your plant cards before they get scored. If you've built up 3, both of you, look, yourself, and there's an arrow going that way as well, your opponent, the fire spreading. Your opponent too has to discard a vegetation, a plant card. So maybe that's the card you want to get rid of when you draw a drought card. But when is it going to come out? So all these things, these threats are affecting your rainforest. And just as the fire affects the plants, the vegetation, then disease is going to affect the wildlife. At the end of each season, 2 of them means that you have to discard 2 of your wildlife. If you've got 3 of them, both you and your opponent, because the disease is spreading, have to discard 1 of your wildlife. I've only touched on this game. Deliberately, it hasn't been a playthrough. It's not a rules video, but I hope I've done enough to show you not only what's in the box, but sort of how the game plays. You will know now whether it's the kind of game that you would like. It has a brilliant solo AI that really works. It's incredibly challenging and great fun. At 2-player, that's where it fits optimal. Absolutely perfect. But there is a 3 and 4-player version as well. We've had a look at the deluxe copy, but I must reiterate, everything that you see, all the cards, the shifting seasons cards, the advanced cards, all the main decks, all the tokens, like these guys here, the bonus tokens, everything is exactly the same. The only difference with the deluxe set is this little market board here and that bag to put things in with the wooden animals. That's it. Everything else that you've seen is exactly the same. I've enjoyed my coffee break. It's a relaxing but competitive game to play. It's easy on the eyes, so it's been quite a chill out session. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed it. Buy Canopy, like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. That would be really fantastic and so helpful. But in any case, thank you very, very much for watching. See you again soon. Bye-bye for now.